Hey gals, it's Laura and we are back with another round of beauty school and another master class. We have been having a ton of fun here on YouTube and in person for our local gals over in Tullahoma at the Event Nook. We'll be back there next Monday, but tonight we're getting into our Brows That Wow masterclass. So we're going to be talking about different ways that you can frame up your brow. We're going to be talking about a couple different tools, and we're going to be focusing on four really awesome Mary Kay products that directly or indirectly deal with brows. So we're going to be talking about our Precision Brow Pencil. We're going to be talking about our Tinted Brow Tint. We're going to be talking about our Clear Brow Gel, and we're going to talk about Mary Kay Chroma Fusion eyeshadow in a couple of colors because they can be used to get those wow brows as well. So let's dive right in. My name is Laura. If I'm not your Mary Kay lady, I have the honor and privilege of doing business in life with your Mary Kay lady. And we would love for you to comment below to make sure that you count as one of her virtual models for her beauty school that we have been rocking. And if you all have watched on YouTube or been in person, drop below what you have loved or what you've learned from beauty school so far. All right, so let's dive in. Brows That Wow. These are one of the, under discussed pieces of makeup that can really finish out and frame up your look, which it is your brows. So I've got a little bit of eyeshadow, a little bit of mascara on, and I'm going to show you all how taking just a couple of minutes to frame up my brows can really kind of solidify my look, make my face look more lifted, more youthful. Don't we all want that? So we're going to dive right in. We're going to chat first about one of my favorite tools, which I call the Magic Brush. Mary Kay calls it our eyeliner / eyebrow brush. And it is dual-sided with a little spoolie and a little angled brush. And we're going to talk about both ends tonight. So the first thing that I typically do with brows is I'm going to brush through my brows, kind of going upward until I reach the tail. And then I'm just going to work with the actual angle of those hairs. I'm going to do that on both of them. And this is going to help to separate my brows and also to remove any product that might be in those, any foundation, any concealer, any eyeshadow that has dropped there. Now, if you're like me, and you do a lot of cream products around there, like our concealers, under eye corrector, CC cream, anything like that. This is the one product that I feel like you could benefit from having in or around the eyebrow area, and that is translucent powder, and it will keep any of my brow products from grabbing onto those creams. Okay, so just a little tip for you there. We'll do a little on this side too. So everything's going to lay really, really well, and I just did a tiny bit using a clean Mary Kay blending brush. So brush them out. And then you're going to kind of map them out. So you can really easily use that magic brush again, going from the dimple of your nose straight up. This is where you want that brow to start. And you can see mine is close, but she could benefit from having just a little bit more definition there. We're going to talk about how to get that. And then if you go across from the dimple across the iris, this is typically where the natural arch is. Okay. And then if you go from the corner of the nose and eye like this, you're going to find that natural corner of the brow. And mine is almost there. She's a little unruly. I grew up in the 90s. Any other 90s gals? So we plucked ours to where they were like non-existent. And really, I should have found one of those pictures and shown y'all, because we had like the teeny tiny little pencil. Yeah, it was bad. So we don't want the 90s brows. So if you are subject to the 90s brows aftermath like myself and having some sparse areas, we're going to talk about hooking you up, girlfriend. All right, so we've mapped them out. We'll post some more graphics and pictures about that in our Cadillac Club events. You'll see the name of that there, our Facebook group. If you're not already in there, message your Mary Kay lady and we'll get you added. We've got some beauty school extra credit fun dropping in there this week. So if you've mapped it out and you've removed any excess product and kind of started to give them some shape with your little spoolie on your magic brush, we're ready to dive in to a few different options on how you can frame up your brows. So I'm going to start with showing you all one of my favorites because I have 90s gals brows. And this is our Precision Brow Pencil from Mary Kay. I love this one because it is tiny. So I get a lot of control with this, and I can get some hair-like flicks, which will mimic the natural brows that I already have. This is also great for not just defining the brow, but also giving you the optical illusion of having more brows. So if your brow is sparse like mine, this is a really great product for you. And you can use it on its own, or you can marry it in with some of our other brow products. So it's really smooth. You get a lot of buildable definition, and it's retractable and super tiny and only 14 bucks. So we love all those things about it. So here's a couple different ways that you can use that. So remember when I mapped out my brow from the dimple of my nose straight up, there was room for some extra hair right in here. And so I can flick, little mimicking the hairs, I can flick my brow pencil through this area to look like I have more of a brow in that area. I can also flick it through any areas where my brows are sparse. You can literally see where mine are and where that's filling it in. And especially, again, if you are a product of the 90s and you're missing brow where there should be more hairs. So I don't want this kind of rounded comma. I want to add in a little more definition right here going into that crease. Y'all can see how that evens that out. And then also right out here where I'm missing some in that tail area to give it a little bit more definition. And then I can come through with that spoolie and just kind of blend that out. So you can already see how that's framing it up. And sidebar, your brows are sisters, not twins. And if you're like me, you have one that's really unruly and one that's a little bit more ruly. So this is my good brow. So I'm using this one to show y'all today some ways that you can really frame up the brow and help it to play well with the other sister. So I would obviously do the other brow, but tonight, for sake of time, we're just going to focus on this one unruly one. So I have got my precision brow pencil that I just showed y'all, and you can work with your Mary Kay gal to figure out what shade is best for you. But as you saw on that screen, we've got blonde, dark blonde, brunette, dark brunette, and black brown. And for sake of time, I'm just going to tell you, your Mary Kay gal is probably going to suggest that you go with a shade that is just a smidge lighter than your hair color, typically. Now, if you are red hair, gray hair gal, we may actually go with more of like one of the blondes, and we can chat more about that. But anyways, so finding out your color, talk with your Mary Kay gal, but typically what is going to work best is a shade just a smidge lighter than your hair color. So the color that I use today for me is brunette, because my hair is a darker brunette with a lot of silver, aka my grays, in there. So, all right, let's talk about another product, which we're going to talk about the brow tint. So the brow tint is really awesome, especially if you already have the hair there, because what it's going to do is it's going to tint, it's going to volumize, and it's going to tame those hairs. It's also great if you are of a certain age like myself and you've got some grays coming into your brow color, because it will tint them. So what's wonderful, it's flexible. It's got these little microfibers that are going to adhere to your brows. I'm actually going to show y'all a picture of the end of this wand. It's like a teeny tiny mascara wand. So it's going to get in there and really give you a lot of control. And we do have several different shades on that. There is a blonde, dark blonde, brunette, and dark brunette. I will say though, brunette is very warm. So unless you've got some red tint to your hair, even us brown hair girlies are going to go with a blonde or a dark brunette. So I personally like the dark blonde for mine. And all you do is take this one through your natural brow and let it adhere. And it's going to volumize. And like I said, it's going to tame them. And then you don't have to, but I like to take that spoolie brush again and take it right over it to get rid of any excess. And y'all can see how it has filled it in, how it has tamed it, and it had also tinted my little silver ones that were right in here. So you can use this one on its own, or along with that precision brow pencil. So I do love that they play well together, but you can use them on their own by themselves. So that is the brow tint, which is another really, really popular one. But let's talk about, we're going to come back to another one that's for the brows, but let's talk about if you're just wanting something super, super quick, super, super simple that you might already have in your makeup stash, ChromaFusion eyeshadow. So what you can do is use the other end of the magic brush, that angle brush, and you can use a color that is close to or a shade lighter than your brow and just flick through a little ChromaFusion eyeshadow to give you a little definition and lift. So typically that color would either be hazelnut. If you were at our All About Eyes one last week in Tullahoma, we talked about the basic. This is her. So we're talking about her again when it comes to brows. Or espresso, this one right here. So for me, espresso is going to be the best option. And I'm going to kind of dip my color in here. I'm going to get both sides and straight onto it. And I'm going to work with the outer part first, because where I start, that's where the most drop off of the color is going to be. And this is going to be my anchor of the brow. I'm going to want less of that color in this area. And then typically what I'll do is move it into an upward motion or even fan it like this to get that inside area. And so you can see that. And then I'm going to take the spoolie side to remove any excess and blend that. And that's how you can use eyeshadow to frame up the brow as well. Now, the last product that I want to talk about before giving you just kind of some last second tips is going to be this guy right here. And we're probably going to give you some extra credit with this one later this week in our group, like I said, which is right below. It's Cadillac Club Events, but it is our clear brow gel. There's no color to this, but I love this. It's like hairspray for your brows, but it's not sticky. Okay. So all that you do is you take this through the brow to kind of set and tame the brow area. So if you're somebody that is blessed with beautiful, full, not sparse brows already, and you just want something to tame them, you can use her by herself. Otherwise, no matter what you're using, eyeshadow, precision brow liner, brow tint, you can use this to set and tame the brow. Okay. But there's also some other fun ways to use this, but I'm not going to get into it tonight on our YouTube. You can check the Facebook group for this later in the week, but clear brow gel to just set everything. Now, if you're paying attention really, really closely, you might have caught this, but I'm going to mention it anyways. So when you are taming the brow, if you're going for a classic look, whether you're using the spoolie or whether you're setting with the clear brow gel, or whether you're tinting and getting that fullness with the tint, you want to move in an upward fashion here, and then pulling it here when you go through the arch and the tail. So we're up on like this first, like third of the brow, and then out with the rest of it. Okay. But if you're wanting a more modern look, for more of like a laminated look, then girl, just go straight up and then barely tame whatever is a little bit unruly. But if you like that kind of full laminated look, you can get that, especially with the brow gel going upward and then just barely taming anything that's crazy or unruly there at the end. So what I love is that you got lots of different options. You have lots of different options depending on your look, depending on what your product preference is. And you got your Mary Kay gal that can help you with shade selection. And if you don't absolutely love whatever shade you get, remember we have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So it's really easy to exchange it if you need to go lighter or darker. So what we're going to finish up with is I'm going to show you a quick tip that will really elevate your finished look with the brow. So we're going to go back over here with the Unruly Sister, and we're going to come in with some Biscotti eyeshadow. For me, it's a skin tone and it's matte, and I'm going to take that just under the arch of the brow to lift the brow area. Okay, and I can just kind of blend it with my finger a little bit too. But what that's going to do is it's going to open up and lift. Y'all can see it on this side too. But I prefer a matte shade to get that lift versus a shimmer. That's just me personally. If I'm going to do a shimmer, so let's come in with Crystalline, I'm using that to highlight like the inside corner with my eyes. I'm going to keep that out of this area and keep this really nice and matte to get that lift. I feel like it just works best for most people. So that's just my preference. So, all right, we talked about precision brow pencil, the tint, the gel. We also talked about utilizing ChromaFusion eyeshadows for your brows. We also talked about our magic brush, and I didn't tell you what she's called, but this is the smudger brush. Smudger brush is great for those like really precise areas like inside corners or lifting the brow, or even getting like a darker color there in the corner. The last thing I'm going to show you is you could get that lift and highlight option in a concealer. Go one shade lighter than your skin tone, and you can use that even just under your eyeshadow or as the finishing piece for your eyebrows. So out of everything that we chatted about this evening, drop it in the chat below. What was your favorite? What did you learn? What will you be adding to your makeup routine this week? Let us know. We would love to hear it. And then next week, we'll be back in person for Perfecting Your Pout, and we'll be talking about all things lips. We'll be at the Event Nook in Tullahoma, and then back here again the week after that. So we are really excited. Glad y'all were here. Make sure you comment below, and we will see you next time.